Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Jake here at Nerd Level Rising. We gotta wrap up the month of May. I can't believe we're already into June of 2025. It feels like it was New Year's last month, but I guess not, right? It's been much longer than that, but we finished up May. We gotta talk about everything that we did. It was a good reading month. It was kind of a weird one in some ways. Some unexpected stuff happened for me with my reading here this month, and let's talk about it, right? So I, before bed, have been reading through Defiant. This is book 4 in the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. This was one that I was really hoping would live up to the hype that it's a return to form for the series. Book 3 was a huge struggle for me. I've been very honest about that. I think a lot of people have had that experience, though certainly not everybody. But most people have said book 4 is a big step back up and it really ends the series strong. So I was hoping that it would. So far, so good. I'm about a third of the way through or so now, a little bit further than that maybe. And it's been really enjoyable. We're sort of seeing the stuff that I really loved in book 1 is sort of coming back. The stuff from book 2 and book 3 that I either still liked but slightly less, or just I was like, I don't know about this. Like it now is feeling more relevant, and it's sort of coming. It's all coming back into play to where it almost all matters. At least so far. There are some long stretches of book 3 that I'm just like, what was the point of that? But we'll see. We'll see. We still got a good, certainly more than half of this book to go. So we'll see if those things come back around. But yeah, overall having a really good time with that. I'm going to continue working through that here in June. And I should be able to finish it. I sure hope so. And then we'll have to pick a new series to be reading during my little bedtime, a couple pages before bed kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes. But really fun so far. I also have been reading this bad boy, Mercy, Tears of the Fallen by Chance Dillon. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel, by the way, and get all the updates about all things in the world of Mercy as he continues working through these sequels. It will be 4 books in this series, and book 2 is well on its way, it sounds like. So this has been really, really fun. I've been reading this on digital as I kind of do some cardio, and with how busy the last couple weeks have been, I've gotten less done than I really wanted to, but hey, nonetheless, we're moving forward. This is, as many people have said, very ambitious. He is really swinging for the fences. He's really going for that sort of Malazan Book of the Fallen, Elden Ring, like that sort of model of just dropping you into this very complex world, tons of terminology, a lot going on that's just not explained, and you're going to figure it out as you go through the story. And I currently sitting where I'm at in the book that I'm a little bit past halfway now, that things have really been coming together. A lot of the stuff early on that I was like, well, I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to go with it. It's starting to make sense. And now in hindsight, I can be like, oh, okay, now I realize what that was. I realize who these people were and what their goal was. I realize what's happening now, right? And we have this epic fantasy story of these. Wow, how do you even explain this? Like, it's very complicated, right? Like, there's these different eras in the history, and sort of there was this big event, cataclysmic event, that it sounds like we have these people who have magical abilities, and they sort of sacrificed a lot of their power to maybe contain this cataclysm or stop it or something like that. I'm still learning what's going on. But they did something really important, and they took part of their power and distilled it down into these gems that they call tears. And now there's all these people now after the fact that they're searching for these things. And I don't know why. I don't know who all the people are and all their motivations yet, although I do know some of them now as it's come together. And we're also following some characters who have very tragic stories as they are going through life, and they're seeking different things, and we're learning more about them and what they're after and why they're after it, and the character depth is getting more and more tangible, and the action, it's very action packed, and the action I think is well written, and so yeah, this has been great. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm certainly going to finish it here in June, hopefully really early in June, because like I said, I'm making some solid headway through it, and I'm hoping to have much more time to just focus on it, but we'll see. But yeah, Chance, great job. Book number 1, debut author, great job. Definitely go check this out. Pre-order is up on Amazon, by the way. July 20th is when this officially drops. So go pre-order it if you have not already. Physical reads. Well, sort of. Not even really physical reads. So physical slash computer Viz Media website reads. Because I read a lot of One Piece this month. So I did read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, or part of it. Anyway, I'm sorry. If you missed my weekly update, I did in fact DNF The Devils. And I said this, it's a really complicated DNF for me because I was almost halfway through with it, and I was really enjoying the book. I think it's fantastically written, really, really well done. Everything about it is really well done. But it's just not my personal taste right now, at least. I think that everything Abercrombie is known for, the characters, the dialogue, the witty banter, the humor, all that stuff is there. And it's there to a degree that's a little bit too much for me personally. It was just, a little bit more of the humor than I personally enjoy. And I think that some of that hamstrung the ability to have stakes and big serious moments in the story, which I understand if that's not the point of the story he's trying to tell, awesome, right? It's just maybe not the best story for me personally, right? So I did put that down, which opened up some time to read more One Piece, which I did. But yes, I gave The Devils a shot. I feel bad, but I don't really feel bad. Who cares, right? Life's too short. Read what you want, right? But what I wanted in that moment after DNFing that was to read more One Piece. So early in the month, before I jumped into The Devils, I did read the Summit War saga of One Piece. It was just fantastic. Instantly became one of my favorite, if not my favorite, part of the whole story so far. It was, wow, so huge, the scale, and seeing where One Piece can really go in terms of the different powers at play, how powerful they are, all these different devil fruit powers that people have, the different alliances, and we have the world government, and we have the navy, and we have the warlords of the sea, and we have the pirates, and we have each different pirate crew, and like there's just, it's so complicated, but it was all handled so well in the story, and seeing things sort of come to a head, and we have this climax that it seems like roughly the midpoint of the overall One Piece story that is, Oda even says towards the end of this that like this is going to change a lot of stuff, and the world will be different now after the Summit War, and it certainly seems to be that way as I continued into the Fishman Island saga right after that, where, at the end of Summit War, we entered this this training arc phase, right, where there's going to be a time skip, and each of our characters is in a completely different place, and they're training and getting stronger and preparing for what's next in the new world as they venture forth and continue their journey. And then in Fishman Island, we pick up, they all get back together, we get to see the development of their abilities and sort of how they've grown, and they take on this big task of navigating this island where racism is so strong and so ingrained, and they have to sort of prove that they're good people, right? The fishmen of Fishman Island are very strongly against humans, at least most of them, and because they have a history of being treated very badly by humans, and so of course they're going to feel a way about it, right? And the story was really about exploring different ways of ending that cycle of hatred and evolving as a culture and getting to a place where it's, in an overall sense, much more peaceful and happy for everybody. And so that was really, really interesting to see that exploration, and of course some great fight scenes and some really great insights into the future and the past. And as Oda is so good at doing, folding in things from previous arcs, previous sagas that now have even more depth to them, and hinting at and foreshadowing things coming in the future, and just giving us these emotional gut punches. I didn't even mention the one at the end of Summit War. It just ripped my heart out. It was, oh man, so well done. And so One Piece just continues to be incredible. It has certainly become one of my absolute favorite things. And, I'm going to have to redo my top 10 series of all time, certainly, because we all, if you watch the channel, we all know Wars of Light and Shadow needs to be on there, and Seeming Like One Piece needs to be on there. So, okay, there's that. There's One Piece. That's my One Piece journey for the month. I did also read The Shadow of the Torturer for the second time. I read it for the first time about halfway through April, that would have been, and then, or towards the end of April, actually. And then I read the Summit War Saga of One Piece, and then I was like, I'm rereading it immediately. So I jumped right back into it, read it again, got so much more out of it the second time. So we read it the first time, had our big buddy discussion over on the Talking Story channel. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. And fantastic discussion. Everyone brought up such great points. And I was like, man, I felt like I followed this really well. But after this discussion, there's so much still that I missed. So I want to go back and see what I can pick up the second time with this added context. So I came back, reread it. I did, in fact, pick up so much more the second time. It was great. I had such a great time. And I feel like I have a better sense. I'm more calibrated on how to read Gene Wolfe now. I think that'll be very helpful as we continue here in June, continuing through Book 2, The Claw of the Conciliator, Shadow and Claw, right? So Shadow of the Torturer, Book 1, Claw of the Conciliator, Book 2. Can't wait to continue my Gene Wolfe Book of the New Sun journey. This has just been so much fun and my newest obsession. So the reread was fantastic. So glad I did it. Would highly recommend anybody who has read it and felt like they missed some things, or even if you're like me and felt like you followed it pretty well, go back and read it again, right? Because you might realize there's certainly some stuff that you missed. And then we also had, what else do I have on my list? Oh yes, this is the last one. The Will of the Many, the book I hated, right? No, I'm fine. I don't want to be the hot takes guy, right? Where I really like this, but some people took it as if I dislike it. That's not true. I really liked it. And I DNF'd the Devils, and, so I'm the hot takes guy now. But The Will of the Many was fantastic, right? I did have some nitpicks, as I've been vocal about. I think that the tone didn't quite... It felt like it couldn't decide if it wanted to be adult or YA, which is fine. Either one of those is fine, right? But it just kind of felt like it was going back and forth, and I wasn't sure how serious to take certain things, So maybe that's just a me thing. I don't know. And then I also was having a hard time really liking Vis that much. He's fine, but he's just always perfect at everything and never makes a judgment error. And even the one time he thought he did, it actually was totally fine. And so, actually it wasn't a mistake. And just so happens to always have had prior training in his life to where he's great at this thing. And I'm just like, all right, dude, so some complaints aside, this was fantastic. The ending blew my mind. I cannot wait for Book 2. It's going to just be, if November is packed, you guys, November's packed. I don't know if you've seen, but we have the new Malazan book at the very end of October that is probably going to take me into early November to read it. I'm basically going to have to read a book a week from the end of October. So it's like we get the new Malazan book. A week later, we get the last Kristoff vampire book that I really want to be caught up and ready for that. A week later, we get Strength of the Few, sequel to this. And then a week later, we get Shadows Upon Time, the last Sun Eater book. And so I'm going to be sprinting through reading in November. Wish me the best. But I really want to get to this on release day if I can, because I, despite my complaints, this was fantastic, and I can't wait for more and to see where it goes and to see what he does with this ending. Like I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I don't know. Crazy. Really, really cool. Really unique. Really exciting. So that's everything that I read in the month of May. Kind of a weird reading month, but an amazing reading month nonetheless. And it comes time to pick the book of the month. And I think I have a slightly unconventional choice here. I've been treating these like books by reading one arc at a time and then taking a break for the next one. And that's right, it is a One Piece section. That's my book of the month this time. It is Summit War by Oda Sensei himself. I talked about this already, so I won't belabor the point, but like this, I can't put into words how impressed I was by how he handled this. There are so many things to juggle in this huge, huge battle, and he did it seamlessly. And we get the huge, awesome, epic shonen battle, right? We get to see all the cool powers. We get to see all the twists and turns of different people. They're on the ropes, but then they come back and they win the fight, or they almost do, and then they get caught again. And there's so much with that. It's so exciting. There's so much world building that we saw of the different political factions, the different the hierarchy within the world government, within the Navy, and within these different pirate crews. And we saw the alliances between the different pirate crews, and we saw the respect that different rivals have for each other, despite maybe hating each other in some ways. They still have so much respect for each other, and I love that. We see things that are echoing way back to way in the past with the old guard of pirates, and how that's sort of bearing fruit now in the present day. And we're seeing things that are hinting at what's going to come in the future, what comes next after the end of after this huge, just climactic confrontation. We saw some of the most epic devil fruit powers that we have seen. I am now a Whitebeard elitist. Whitebeard is the best. I love him so much, and his power is incredible, and his story is incredible. And I want to learn more and more. I really hope that we get more flashbacks from Whitebeard's journey, just to learn more about his story, because I don't know, I just love it so much. We see more about Blackbeard, and so much about his sort of rise in power and what he's doing. And we see more about Luffy and his backstory, and Ace, his brother, and that backstory. And there's just gut-wrenching, rip your heart out emotional punch at the end of this thing that was so interestingly done. We get this crazy emotional moment, and then we get the backstory, which is different. Oda, usually we're building up to this point, we're almost at this climax, then we pause and we see the backstory come through, and then we get back to that moment, and that punch is really hard because now we have all the context. This time he gave us the punch and then gave us the context afterwards, and I found it so interesting that it hit really hard in the moment, but then with the backstory, it just adds different layers to it. It's not that it makes it stronger or better, it just feels slightly different, and it was really cool to experience that moment in sort of two different ways. I don't know, it was really cool how he did that, and wow, it's so good. And all of this was like, we're just following Luffy here, right? The crew has been split up, and we're not really seeing much of what's going on with the others. We see little glimpses, but it's mostly just with Luffy and these other big time characters. So, wow, Summit War was just unbelievable. I still can't decide if I like that or Water 7, Enies Lobby better yet. To be honest, the more I talk about it, the more I kind of lean towards Summit War as being my favorite arc so far. But time will tell as that continues to kind of settle in. But there you have it. Book of the month for May is in fact One Piece Summit War Saga. So, great month. We have a great month ahead here in June. I can't wait to get to it. In fact, I want to go read a little bit more, so I'm going to end this video now. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that awesome stuff. Especially comment. Let me know, how was your May? What was your book of the month? What's the favorite thing that you read? Or what are you most excited to read in the next month? All that good kind of stuff. Hang out with me there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.